This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, welcome to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in today for Mark. He's out today, but I'm in. So I'm glad you are hanging out with us here today on 97.1 FM Talk. Always happy to fill in for Mark Reardon. And by the way, the text line is open, and I love getting texts. And I can't respond to a lot of them, but I always read every single text. So if you want to text into the show today, I will promise you that I'll read it. And to me, this is what's fun about radio. Because if you're listening to a podcast, you can't text Joe Rogan in the middle of a show and say, "Hey, Joe, I know what you're saying about UFOs, but I'm not really buying it." You can't do that. You can't text in. But if you want to text in here, I will read it, probably read it on the air, as long as I don't get in trouble with the FCC. And you literally can be a part of the show. 314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. There's a whole lot to talk about today. We've got Iran today. We've also got, obviously, the price of oil is going down. The stock market is up. We've got Trump in Europe at the G7. I believe he's in Geneva. We've got all kinds of things. But I want to start with this topic because you have experienced what I'm about to talk about. You have. And that is panhandling. Have you ever driven in the city and you get panhandled? People come up to your car and they want money, and it's dangerous oftentimes. And this is what gets me. There was a guy, his name escapes me at the moment here, but he sued St. Louis County several years ago. And he claimed that it was a violation of his First Amendment right to ban panhandling. He sued St. Louis County. He won. Beavis Schock was his attorney. I know Beavis. And this guy won, I believe it was $250,000 from St. Louis County for depriving him of his right to free speech. And in doing that, you would think the dude just cleared, we didn't clear $250,000. He had to pay attorney's fees. And listen, as my wife always says, paying the attorneys is always important. It's always important, right? So with the Beavis Schock case, the total settlement was around $250,000. The Beavis Schock took probably 40% of it, some expenses. But at the end of the day, I mean, he cleared more than $100,000 for having his rights violated. What did he do? The day after he got paid, he went right back to panhandling because he said, "This is my job. This is my job." That is so important. Somebody texted it already. No Marks today. Yeah, that's right. No Mark today. But Brad Young sitting in, as Ethan likes to say, the fire hose of information right here with you today. So St. Louis County is considering this bill, and they termed it, it's aimed at aggressive solicitation. And what it would do is, if this bill gets passed in St. Louis County, it would prohibit panhandling like around ATMs, on private property. It would ban panhandling during inclement weather. It would also ban it at night. And there's some other provisions in here. But already the Post-Dispatch, it's right, just tax the panhandlers. Someone's already texted in. But how do you tax the panhandlers? I mean, that's a great idea, right? You get taxed. I get taxed. We all get taxed. But if a panhandler's getting cash, how much are they getting taxed? We don't know. Or they could be sticking the money in their pocket. They could be buying drugs with it. Either way, they're not getting taxed. That's wrong. They should be taxed. But the point being is that when I was reading about this in the Post-Dispatch over the weekend, of course, the Post-Dispatch took the position, oh my goodness, this is encroachment on free speech. This is violating free speech. But it made me think, how is this free speech? Okay? You think about it. If you were being asked, how is panhandling, how is this your free speech right. How does that happen? And everyone's going to say this. You're going to say that, well, it's free speech because they're asking for money. Exactly. Okay? Think about that for a second. They are asking for money. And folks, that's why that's so critically important. Because when was the last time you saw an advertisement on television for cigarettes? Think about it. When did you last see a TV commercial for cigarettes? Probably never, right? Unless you're watching Mad Men, you've never seen a commercial for cigarettes. Why? Because they're banned from television. Why? Wait a minute, Brad. How can cigarette commercials be banned from television? Isn't that free speech? Ah, yes. Yes, it is. But that's the key. It's commercial speech. And the Supreme Court has ruled over and over and over that commercial speech does not have the exact same protections as political speech, as religious speech. So when you see those panhandlers out there, are they telling people about Jesus? No, they're not. Are those panhandlers out there saying, vote for Trump, vote for Hakeem Jeffries, vote for Sam Page? Are they saying that? No, they're not. They're not. What are they doing? They're asking for money. Just like the cigarette companies are asking for money when they used to run TV ads. Or how about with Anheuser-Busch products? Big supporter of Anheuser-Busch, not so much because I love their product, but because they're right here in St. Louis. And think about every beer commercial you've ever seen. Have you ever seen anyone drink the beer? No. No. You've never seen one person on television in the United States drink beer in a TV ad. Why? Because it's commercial speech. And it's regulated by the federal government, and they say you cannot show anyone drinking beer. So you have all of these exquisite pictures of people opening bottles of beer or opening cans of beer, and you listen to the sound, and they pour it into the glass, right? And then they just hold it and look at the camera. They never drink it because rules and regulations prohibit them from showing drinking beer in a commercial. Again, well, wait a minute, Brad, that's free speech. No, it isn't. It's commercial speech, which is exactly my entire point. Because people who are panhandling are not telling people about Jesus. They're not asking you to vote for Karen Bass in Los Angeles, which actually is a point I will be getting to before the day is over. They're not doing that. They're asking you for money. So if they're asking you for money, and if the Supreme Court has said repeatedly that it's okay to limit free speech if it's commercial speech, then why, oh why, does the Post-Dispatch say, oh, that people begging on the street corner, it's about free speech? No, it's not. It's not about free speech. It's about people asking you for money. And in the exact same way that big tobacco, that big beer, or anything else you want to label as big pharma, big whatever, big oil, big whatever, just like those ads can be limited on the idea of free speech, then at that point, you can, in fact, regulate commercial speech. So a couple of people have already texted in, how about the people stop giving them money and they will just go away? That's a good point. I will tell you, I am often torn because I'm a Christian. Bible says, help these people. When you saw me and I was without clothes, did you clothe me? Did you feed me? I'm torn by that. But when I hear stories about the guy in St. Louis County who won over six-figure settlement, or maybe it was a verdict, I don't recall, from St. Louis County, that he just went right back to panhandling the next day. It's not about need, folks. It's about their job. That's their job. And that inherently creates the problem. Somebody else texted in, could you text the panhandler, or would that be considered a tip and the tips aren't taxed? Thanks. I guess you could, yeah, I think the panhandlers, you could probably Venmo them some money. I guess you could, but if you could Venmo, I mean, This raises a great question. If you can Venmo a dude who's begging for money, does he really need the money? If he, I accept Venmo, I accept American Express. Really? To me, that just solidifies the fact that it's commercial speech. It's not, they're not out there, protesting the snail darter being destroyed in California because of some dam that's being built. They're asking you for money. So that's a great question. Another text: women motorcyclists set the world. Women motorcyclists set the world record this weekend in Rockford, Illinois. 1,433 of us all riding simultaneously, witnessed and verified by the Atlas World. That's great, women motorcyclists. But that raises another question before we go to the break here. If I ride a motorcycle and I self-identify as a bicyclist, does that mean that I can compete in bicycle races and win every bicycle race that I enter because I self-identify as a motorcyclist? I don't know. I want you to think about that. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we are going to talk to Jacob Olidort. He is the Chief Research Officer and Director of American Security at the America First Policy Institute. We're going to talk about the details of the Iranian peace plan, what's in there, what's not in there, why it's important, and most importantly, how is it achieved? Because it wasn't achieved in the same way that previous presidents have obtained agreements from Tehran, and we will dive into that next. Brad Young sitting in here on St. Louis Conservative 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for a stall westbound 70 near Jennings Station Road, and the two left lanes are blocked. Now, you may have discovered this morning, but the big issue on the roads for really this week and possibly beyond is the closure of 44 between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. And this is, of course, because of that giant sinkhole on North Broadway. And it's under one of the bridges on that 44 in that area. And they're worried because some of the bridge footings have actually been exposed in that sinkhole. So that is closed. Again, that's 44 between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Now, if you happen to be on westbound 6440, it's the usual volume, if not a little worse. So Kings Highway out through McCausland, eastbound is slowing at 170, and that's backed up 170 southbound, back past the Forest Park Parkway. And westbound 40, a little slow out at Highway N. Northbound 55 slowing south of the Poplar, and westbound 44 is slowing right at 270. Southbound 270, moderate volume in pockets approaching Olive down through Doherty Ferry. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. And you can't find better quality, prices, or service. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Man, we had a great visit last week from Matt Lawrence of Game Day Men's Health. Game Day is a great sponsor. Matt has two locations out in Chesterfield and also also in O'Fallon, Missouri. He's very passionate. I love him. When I first got to know him a couple of years ago, he just brings this passion. And for those of you who heard the interview last week, you know how he loves what he's doing. He's an entrepreneur, but this is a health clinic, Game Day Men's Health, that's really grown across North America and Canada, 400 plus clinics. They have all kinds of options for you. Testosterone therapy, of course, maybe you're familiar with that. Do you need some testosterone as you get older? They're going to do some blood work for you, and it's a free 1-hour visit. They do blood work. Within 20 minutes, you get that blood work back. They give you advice. Now, maybe it's not on TRT. We talked a lot last week about peptides and vitamins because that's something that's blown up, but Matt really kind of informed us too. A lot of misinformation out there about that. So go to the experts, make an appointment either in Chesterfield or in O'Fallon. Game Day Men's Health. Book an appointment today. Tell them that I sent you in. GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
What they say, what they sign, and what they actually do and implement, history tells us are two different things. And we have to bake into this deal enforcement and compliance, and certainly the threat of military operations is a part of that.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in today. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 97.1 FM Talk. Joining me, as I mentioned right before the last break, Jacob Olidort. He is the Chief Research Officer and Director of American Security at the America First Policy Institute. Hey, Jacob, welcome to 97.1 FM Talk.
It's great to be with you, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Well, as you heard from the lead-in quote from Jack Keane, a military analyst over at Fox News, obviously it's all the news today, talking about the peace deal with Iran. And I wanted to join us today, rather, Jacob, to talk about this deal. And before we talk about the upside, can you just give us a general overview as to what Iran has actually agreed to do? And most importantly, as Jack Keane mentioned, how do we verify it?
Well, right. Well, and I think as General Keane alluded to there, I mean, lots of questions that, the next, the morning after we still are sort of left with. There's a lot we still don't know about what's in this agreement. We do know that it is an agreement to create a space for 60 days to negotiate the final agreement over the nuclear and some of the other pieces of it. Of course, a lot will also happen between now and Friday, the date of the signing of the agreement, including let's see what happens as far as the Strait is concerned. Will the Iranians show some goodwill and actually begin opening it up, and under what conditions? And then, of course, what happens in other parts of the region? Will Iran steer clear of getting involved in Lebanon, as has been the case previously? So a lot still unknown at the moment, but a big breakthrough. And I would say, as you've heard a number of officials in the administration say, a great first step at bringing about what Churchill would call the beginning of the end of this conflict.
Well, you mentioned here, Jacob, that part of the negotiation, we're still going to be in flux. We've got some more things going on, obviously, in the days and weeks to come. But reports are suggesting that I think maybe the biggest question about this deal is how it applies to Iran's nuclear program. Up until very recently, Iran was saying, no matter what, nuclear weapons, nuclear enriched uranium is not on the table. We're not going to give that up. So at least what you've been able to identify at this point, Jacob, is that in fact part of the deal?
I think to that specific question, my impression, again, without knowing what's in the deal itself, is that this is not part of that memorandum of understanding is what was announced yesterday. I mean, right now we're setting the conditions for that broader conversation. I think the other piece of this, too, which is kind of lost in the headlines, is who it was conducted with. We had a lot of our Gulf partners involved, and of course the president heading into the G7. That's important, where we'll have European partners talking and some of our Gulf allies involved there. So that, I think, is an important part of this agreement.
Well, it is a big part, Jacob, and I guess that's what I want to talk to you about next is that we've seen during the course of this military conflict, Iran has fired missiles at many of the U.S. allies in the Gulf region, including the UAE, including Saudi Arabia and others. And so when you see this deal coming together at this point with the aid of some of our international partners, what does that tell you about maybe on the other side, on the post-conflict side of the situation? Do we see alliances here strengthening between the United States and some of our Middle East allies being strengthened as a result of this conflict and the resolution of the conflict?
Well, I think that's a great angle. And, what's noteworthy here is that at the G7 in France, all of our European allies have notably been sitting this one out. And whereas, of course, a lot of our Middle East partners, this was done in concert with them, a much more deliberate, complex process. But I think that's part of the tone for the G7. And then what follows is, what do we do the day after? Okay, Europeans, you haven't been on board up till this point, but you have more of an interest, first of all, in the strait being opened, but then other aspects of it. What weight can you pull to bring this about? And so I think that'll be a focus here.
We're talking to Jacob Olidort. He's the Chief Research Officer and Director of American Security at the America First Policy Institute. And Jacob, we've seen some of this before. A little bit of this is a rerun. How many times in the past have we seen Iran agree to something, get paid pallets or stacks of money, and then not follow through? So what is it, in your opinion, that has brought Iran to the table at this point in time that was different than what we've seen under previous presidential administrations?
Well, the short answer is it was this unprecedented military and economic pressure that we've seen, and it is unprecedented. And we've taken out all of their Air Force, Navy, several layers of their leadership. And I think that's the other piece that'll be interesting to watch here. Fundamentally, this will also be a test of who is running the show on the Iranian side. We know, for example, this fellow Vahidi, who is the head of the IRGC, was not too keen to make a deal. He did, however, in the final hours, agree to this going forward. It's not to his liking. So we'll just see kind of who's calling the shots. It's a very different, changed regime, as the president would say. And I think that'll be an interesting piece of this to take note of.
So at this point, what's the timetable that we're looking at, Jacob, at least what's been publicly reported? What's the time frame for actually signing the agreement? And then what happens after that 60-day period for some of the technical negotiations to be worked out?
Well, that's exactly it. We're going to wait and see and watch this week and hope that Iran comes to the table. And so the signing ceremony will take place later this week in Switzerland. And then that 60-day clock, I believe, begins to begin those negotiations. That'll be done, in concert and with the mediation of Pakistan, maybe some others as well. A lot can happen, as I mentioned at the top, within 60 days, as we've seen before. And frankly, it's during that period that a lot of the hard issues will get raised, and the technical aspects of the mechanisms for how we intend to do things like verification and other nuclear pieces there. I mean, the president has been pretty consistent throughout, up until even last week and into the weekend, that Iran cannot by any means acquire, develop, and so forth, have a nuclear weapon. So I suspect that will remain a constant. But again, lots to look out for, lots still unknown, but certainly a new chapter and a welcome chapter in this moment. Absolutely.
Jacob Olidort, if folks want to follow you online, we know that you are the American security expert at the America First Policy Institute. If folks want to follow you online, how can they do that?
So our website is americafirstpolicy.com. My X account is J Olidort, and you can find a lot of my latest interviews there. But please visit our website. You'll see all of our research and other engagements there. And definitely happy to hear from everyone there.
Fantastic. Hey, Jacob, thanks for taking a little time out of your busy schedule to talk to us here at 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis. We appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you so much, Brad. Very grateful.
Hey, before we go to the break, I want to emphasize one of the things that Jacob mentioned, but I want to emphasize it in a slightly different way. I don't know if you've seen some of these videos that have been circulating online, but there's a long list. I know they're accurate because I remember when these statements were made. If you think about statements coming from President Clinton, and when I say President Clinton, I mean Bill Clinton, not the ushered-in president of Hillary Clinton, but even Hillary Clinton, Obama, Biden, all of these Democrat presidents have for decades come out very strongly and say, we will not allow Iran to get nuclear weapons. And yet, as of today, they've had a large amount of fissionable material that could be instantly made into a dirty bomb. And who has done anything about it? President Obama simply gave pallets full of money to Iran in exchange for a promise. But empty words do not stop the creation of nuclear weapons by a terrorist state like Iran. And I just find it interesting. I've been on the air on lots of different programs talking about how this war was justified. It was morally, legally justified. And it was literally in line with what almost every president has said going back to the 1990s, which is, or even the 80s for that matter, which is Iran cannot be allowed to get a nuclear weapon. But only President Trump actually did something about it. And that's why it's so key here is that it was done with leverage. It was done with force. And that is the difference between this agreement and prior agreements. So I am thrilled that we're at this point. Has it cost us? Sure. In money, in missiles, in personnel. But it brought us to the point where now we can say we are preventing Iran from getting nuclear weapons instead of making hollow promises that went unfulfilled. Brad Young sitting in today for Mark Reardon. We're going to take a break. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk to George Rosenthal, my good friend over at ThrottleNet, talking about what's happening in England right now with their attempts to ban social media for teenagers. That'll be coming up next right here, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a couple of accidents reported along westbound 70. One is past Jennings Station Road. It started in the left lane. They've been working to get that off to the shoulder. Now we have one before Bermuda in the right lane. So some slow-moving traffic there. And an accident westbound 44 approaching 270. That blocking the right lane and the right shoulder. And that is causing a jam past Lindbergh. Now, westbound 64 out of downtown is slow, but it's Kings Highway out through the inner belt, and southbound 170 slowing at 64. We've got eastbound 40 slowing there at Big Bend. And then westbound picks up again at Highway N. 70 looks fine past the airport. In fact, it looks good. There was a slow pocket west of Forestel, but that's it. And southbound 270, slow pockets there approaching Page down through Doherty Ferry. Now, 44 is closed in both directions between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Eastbound 70 drivers, you can still cross the Stan span and continue on eastbound 70. They also have road work going on the Illinois side, 55, 64 at 3rd Street, and that's causing a bit of a delay. Eastbound 64 slows at 255. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Call Point Pest Control, mention Annie, and get 10% off your pest problem. Once summertime hits, ant populations begin to reach peak numbers, maybe even into the millions. Call Point Pest Control before they invade your home. Call Point Pest Control 636-798-0023.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score more to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Corey, from your comfort service? Why are you standing next to my AC?
I'm standing behind our work.
But it's 8 p.m. You're just going to stand behind my air conditioner?
Yeah, pretty much.
Could you turn off the sprinkler then?
Absolutely. At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need a new air conditioner or HVAC system, you can trust we'll install the equipment correctly. Plus, for a limited time, qualify for rebates up to $2,600 and 0% financing for up to 72 months. For a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisor Group, to learn how to create your worry-free retirement. We'll meet June 16th at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, June 16th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 3:34. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Built in the heartland, for the heartland. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Thousands of parents say their children are addicted to social media. That is why today the government has decided to ban social media access for children under 16.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in today and joined by my good friend George Rosenthal from over there at ThrottleNet. Hey, George, great to talk to you, buddy.
Good to talk to you too, Brad. Thanks for having me on. And man, I'm really looking forward to getting your opinion on this story as well.
Well, yeah, but before, I always got to give this disclaimer when I talk to you. I thought it was interesting. During the break, there was a commercial. No client of ThrottleNet has ever been successfully hacked, and I'm one of those clients. And so I just want to let everybody know that, yes, I am a client of ThrottleNet. Love it. If you want to talk to me about it, call me at my office. There's this little thing called Google. You can Google me, call me at the office. I'll be happy to extol all of the benefits of ThrottleNet. But putting that aside here, as you heard coming out of the break, yes, things are happening in England. Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced major restrictions, potentially even a ban of social media use for children under the age of 16. This would apply to like TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat. But George, from a technical side, how could this even be implemented? Because again, as everybody knows, the internet's global. So how can a country say we're going to impose these restrictions, and how do media or tech companies actually implement those restrictions when something is unique to one specific country?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And they are banning so much. I mean, it's pretty much every single aspect of social media, along with games like Roblox, where you can have conversations with strangers and you're ending up with a lot of young kids getting caught up with bad people. They're also banning all of streaming on Twitch until you're over 16, even watching streamers on Twitch. They're going to regulate the amount of scrolling you can do between the ages of 16 and 18 up to so many hours per day, and then shut down the apps on the phone by default based on the amount of hours you're scrolling every day. So this is a very big deal, and how they're going to start tracking it is the big thing is the fines. These fines that they're talking about are massive. They are like 30% more than anything that's ever happened in the United States. and they're going to put in some serious regulations, such as digital ID verification. They're going to scan your face and look and see, using AI to guess how old you are, using third-party database checks. That means government checks, any type of government agencies where the person is registered or has been registered. They are going to use all kinds of things that they can. Now, the flip side of this is Australia has been the test market for this. Last year, Australia banned all the social media. They did all of this. And what happened in the last year, the study showed that 70% of Australian kids got around it somehow. And of course, they're going to find a way around it. They were using things like virtual private networks. They were faking their birthdays. They were basically tricking their parents into making stealth accounts by acting like as if they couldn't get on by themselves, but they could get on legally, and they were just having their parents make an account. So there's ways to get around it. But you know what? The Prime Minister had a great statement, and I really appreciate this one as well. Look, how many teenagers will go out and sneak a beer? But that doesn't mean you go out and lower the alcohol age down to 16. So just because, people can get around things doesn't mean you at least try your best to stop it from happening.
But I want to backtrack a moment, because you were talking about how this identification is going to happen. And
yes.
I had a thought here, and here's the thought, George. You said that there's going to be AI implementation, that they'll be scanning digital faces, facial recognition. Doesn't that raise another issue? So in essence, what the British government is saying here is that we're going to use facial recognition software on kids under the age of 16. So doesn't that mean that the government is not just encouraging, but is requiring companies to take digital images of kids under the age of 16 and potentially even store that information that could then be obtained by hackers?
Yeah, and on top of that, they're even talking about possibly using audio recognition of the voice.
Oh my goodness!
That goes against the whole thing of what I talk about every week on Tech Talk Tuesday, is that you once you start giving AI all of this stuff with your kids, it's not going to end. And look, that's the flip side of this whole story, is that why are they doing this? Is it to protect the children? Yes, sure. I think there's a lot of good about protecting kids from social media, 5 hours, 6 hours a day. It's terrible. But on the flip side, by banning this, the alternative opinion, take whichever side you want, but the alternative opinion is, well, the government is going to end up trying to raise the kids with a certain specific message that only the government feeds to the children. And by the time they become 16, 17, 18 years old, they've already been coached for their entire lives by messages from the government, and because the government has locked them out of all other opinions. So that is kind of a tough argument. It's a very tough balance here. Do you want to protect the kids from the algorithms, from the AI, recording their face, their voice, etc., keeping their brains into a normal childhood instead of becoming dependent on an AI friend? In fact, they're banning part of this law would ban all kids under the age of 18 from interacting with AI in a romantic way. So they're trying that's the world we live in now, Brad, where we're talking about banning children from having a romantic relationship with AI. That's built into this law. So we are reaching different levels in the society, and we got to figure out what we're doing here, because it's definitely an interesting take, because one side of me as a parent wants to keep my kids from living on social media and being exposed to crazy people. And on the other side, it's like, okay, well, where are they getting their information from? How are they talking to their friends? So, it's definitely something that's absolutely crazy what's going on, and how they're handling it, how it's going into this digital AI recognition. But the fines that they're putting on these tech companies, they don't really have a choice. And, YouTube made a great point. YouTube said, look, your alternative is shoving the kids off into the dark web or dark markets of apps that aren't registered with the government, with Apple and with Google Play Store. And then they really get into trouble, because there's no parental controls on those apps on the dark web. And the kids are going to try and find a way to do it. It's like back in the 80s when the 18-year-old was trying to sneak a beer somewhere. It's always going to happen, but we do have to protect in some way. It's a very delicate balance.
Well, it is. And we're talking to George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. And George, the part that gets me is that my kids are a little bit older. My youngest is in her early 20s. But we had to put, as a family, we tried to put restrictions on how much time that our daughters could stay on social media. But now, of course, with the algorithms and people getting addicted to dopamine and all of those things we've heard about, it is a problem. But to some extent, my concern goes to having a cure that can be worse than the disease itself. Because I don't really want the government. I mean, think about how much parents now are trying to protect, particularly younger parents in their 30s who try to protect their kids from having their photographs on social media. But under this British proposal, the British government will have photographs, facial recognition, all of this digital information about kids. And at some point, I got to say, is the cure worse than the disease itself?
Yeah, because you're registering their face and their voice, possibly. I mean, if it gets into that, right now, look, I stopped putting things on Facebook with my kids. And if I want to share family pictures, I got a digital frames. We share them across California, all the way across to the family over there. And we share pictures on digital frames in our homes. I'm not putting stuff out on the internet anymore. And I haven't for years because I don't want AI to have an access to my kid's face as they are aged now. Yes, I have kids or pictures from when my kids were like 5, but they don't look anything like that anymore. So AI is not going to be stealing my kids' faces off of Facebook. So that's where they're going. But you're right. But imagine having the government have those pictures. It is just crazy where we're heading. And the AI is expanding exponentially into our lives. And we've got to start paying attention to this stuff. You know, Trump, as much as he wants AI to win the AI race with China, he did put very light restrictions on these AI companies, very, very light. He asked them, and it's asking, he put an executive order out, and it's to ask them to give 30 to 90 days of research so the government can see the latest, greatest version of whatever AI is coming out, not 30 to 90 days before it's released to the public. But it's voluntary. It's voluntary. It's a voluntary release. Right. So Claude doesn't have to do it, but they can just release the latest and greatest to the world, and then you could shut down water supplies and power supplies, and that's one of their biggest fears and why this executive order is in place. But everybody wants to win the race against China in AI. I get that, but at what cost, like you were saying?
Yep, exactly. At what cost? George, I got to run here. I got to take a break because our board operator, Ethan, costs a whole lot of money to pay. and you know what? We've got to go to break to pay his confiscatorily high salary. So, George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet, as always, my friend, it's great to talk to you, buddy.
Such a pleasure. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, George. Hey, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I've got a stack of stuff here. I'm going to go through, and we've got things ranging from Flag Day to talking about the Stanford commencement, all kinds of things we're going to get to today, including the L.A. mayor's race and how the left is always concerned about voter fraud on the right, but the left is literally committing voter fraud. And shockingly, California does not seem to care. Brad Young sitting in for the vacationing Mark Reardon, and we'll be back right after this on St. Louis Conservative, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a couple of accidents to mention. One is westbound 44 at 270. The right lane is blocked there, and we've got a jam that goes back past Lindbergh. And the other one was an accident westbound 70 before Bermuda. That one on the right side, so the right lane blocked. Some volume there. Southbound 270, moderate volume approaching Page, down through Ladue Road, and it continues down through Doherty Ferry. Now, southbound 170, slow pockets from Olive down through 64, and 6440 westbound is slow. It's Kings Highway out to McCausland, and then some moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Don't forget 44 is closed in both directions between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, and will be to and perhaps through this weekend. Also on the Illinois side, 64 eastbound slows at 255 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. You know, I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Summertime is finally here. It's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Mark Cox here. You know Zero Res can handle every surface in your home. Carpets, tiles, grout, hardwood, laminate, upholstery, all of it. And right now they're having a flash sale. 3 rooms for $129 plus a 4th room for free. Take advantage of this while you can. Call them up or go to their website. That's ZeroResSTL.com. Tell them you want the 97.1 special.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in today. Thanks for joining us. If you want to join us on YouTube, you know how to do that. Go to youtube.com, put in Mark Reardon Show Live. And not that you want to, because frankly, folks, I've got a face for radio. So I don't really know that you want to see me. But, you know, Ethan's a handsome young man. So you may want to check out Ethan at the at the youtube.com Mark Reardon Show Live. Also, if you want to text in, I'm reading all these texts that come in. I'm responding to some. The text line is open, 314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. My youngest daughter, graduated with her master's degree from Mizzou about 2 weeks ago. And I was at the ceremony. It was very nice. It was very dignified, maybe a few too many speeches, but that's okay. Why do I bring that up? Because if you saw the news, there was a graduation ceremony at Stanford, actually at Stanford, not MIT. It was at Stanford over the weekend. And the CEO of Google and Alphabet, Sundar, I think it's Pichai, but I forgot exactly how you pronounce it. Anyway, he spoke. And of course, if you know any tech companies, almost all of them today are dominated by the left. And Google is certainly no exception to that. They're dominated by the left. But what happened? So it was the 135th commencement ceremony at Stanford. And when the CEO of Google was going to speak at the graduation, what happened? About 100 to 200 students actually decided to get up and walk out. and they were waving Palestinian flags. They were chanting pro-Palestinian slogans, including like "Free Palestine," "Free Palestine," and it was a big deal. So I don't know the percentage, but 200 or so students just walked out on the Google CEO. And the speech that the Google CEO was giving wasn't political. He was talking about how to be a good citizen, how to go out there and get jobs, what it means to graduate from Stanford, because he himself graduated from Stanford. And, getting a gig to be the CEO of Google, not a bad job. I bet he doesn't have to use coupons when he goes to the restaurant, if you know what I'm talking about. And yet they wanted to make it into a protest. They wanted to talk about Free Palestine. And really, if you think about it, at a California college, it's not all that shocking. It's not all that shocking to see some kind of a protest, because free speech is not so free when you're in California. I always loved it when conservative individuals try to go and speak at colleges in California. What happens? Well, they set cars on fire. They set trash cans on fire. They're triggered. They're like, oh my goodness, there's wailing and gnashing of teeth if we have to hear anyone who can utter conservative words. And yet this is the Google CEO. He himself is probably left. I don't know his politics. Don't care. I use Google all the time. I'm not going to stop using it because the guy is liberal. But I also wouldn't walk out on a CEO speech just because I want to make a statement about Free Palestine. Like, what does Google have to do with Free Palestine? And at least some of the reports are saying, well, it was happening because Google is doing some work for Israel. But really, when it gets right down to it, I just think it's interesting that even big tech is not enough of a lefty organization for the campus activists at California colleges and California universities. I mean, now even at Stanford, graduation needs a protest permit instead of just letting kids graduate and let their grandparents take pictures. Okay, how hard is that? But no, we've got to turn it into an incident. But it's interesting that even, and I said this, but I want to rephrase it, that even Google is not progressive enough for campus activists. And if they're not progressive enough, who is? Hey, Brad Young, we got time to take a break here. We've got a top of the hour break. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There was an accident on westbound 44 at 270, approaching 270, and they're blocking the right lanes, which of course is the ramp that takes you to northbound 270. So this has caused a delay in that area. It's a parking lot jam back past Lindbergh. It's not quite to Elm, if that helps, but it is past Big Bend. Now, we also had an earlier accident. This is westbound on 70, and it's an accident past Jennings Station Road. In fact, it's kind of approaching Bermuda. Watch for the right lane to be blocked there. Now, southbound 270, it's moderate volume, but it's anywhere from Page down through Doherty Ferry. Southbound 170 is pretty slow, headed for 64. And we had an accident now reported eastbound 6440 at 170. Look for a delay behind it. Westbound 64 is already lined up approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. 44 remains closed between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Just bear that in mind. And road work on the Illinois side. Eastbound 64 is causing a delay right at 255. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company in St. Louis. Call them for their 26-point tune-up. One price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, I want to talk about ThrottleNet. George Rosenthal does a segment with us every Tuesday called Tech Talk Tuesday. I was finally over to their building, and I took a tour, and I got to see, firsthand how they do it with all the monitors. If there's a company out there, they do everything IT, right? They're not an internet provider. They're going to protect you and your IT, make sure you're not, in a situation where you could have the wrong click that cost you a lot of money, or a hack or anything like that, ransomware attacks, right? We know that those happen. No client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So if you are looking for a great company here in St. Louis, and they're very proud of their under 90-second response time for business IT support. When I was in the office, I saw the monitors, and if the call goes past 90 seconds, all these red lights go off, and they make sure that they're right on top of it. They want to take great care of you. So go to throttlenet.com/971. That gets you a free baseline IT security audit. Gives you a great starting point, and then you know what to do. You're going to hire them because they do such great work here in St. Louis. throttlenet.com/971. Tell them we sent you over. ThrottleNet.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
There's still some talking to do. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The official signing ceremony is Friday, but President Trump says the military conflict with Iran is over with the framework of a deal signed by both sides.
President Trump calls a memorandum of understanding with Iran a very powerful document that reopens the critical Strait of Hormuz and ends U.S. naval blockade.
It's not like the Obama document, which was just a terrible document.
Sitting alongside French President Emmanuel Macron at the G7 summit, President Trump criticized the JCPOA deal reached with Iran during the Obama administration. The president says the text of this agreement, which sets up a 60-day window for negotiations over Iran's nuclear program, should be released later this week. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base in California today. There's no immediate information on whether anybody's hurt. A plume of black smoke is seen rising from the Mojave Desert. California's governor accuses President Trump of an abuse of power targeting him and his family.
In a video on X, California Governor Gavin Newsom reveals the DOJ is looking into him and his wife, not because they found a crime, but because the Democrat alleges he's being targeted by President Trump for calling out his lies, and as Newsom considers his own run for president.
He's turned the levers of government into his own personal power ministries to reward cronies and to try to jail his opponents. His personal attorney now runs the Department of Justice, which has repeatedly gone after his political enemies.
Newsom vowing to fight what he calls the lawlessness.
You can investigate me. You can harass me. Put my name on every and any enemy's list you have, but leave my wife and family out of your personal vendetta.
The DOJ has yet to comment. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Oil prices are down 3% with President Trump announcing that Iran deal on Wall Street. The Dow is up 468. The Nasdaq's up 3%. America's listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The northwest flow doing its nice thing. Mostly clear skies this evening, dropping through the 70s, 66 for the low. On Saturday, partly sunny, little warmer, 86. We're ahead of the next cool front. There will be some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms around Saturday. Saturday night, scattered showers and some storms will bring heavy downpours of rain, some flash flooding, and lightning. 66. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Our country isn't so lovable right now. I hate to say it, but loving our country is starting to sound like an abused spouse saying they love their abuser. I can't love a country that's led by a racist, misogynist, xenophobic tyrant. I can't love the country that's led by Donald Trump.
Brad Young here, filling in for Mark Reardon today. Yes, that was the one and only Robert De Niro. And what's interesting is that in years past, when the right has said to those on the left, you don't love this country, there's always this enormous pushback. So I like it when the left is actually honest. I'll give Robert De Niro credit. At least he's being honest. Okay? I obviously I wholeheartedly disagree with him, but he's honestly saying and expressing the philosophy is so much on the left today, which is that they hate this country. I've been looking at some of the texts here, both on the text line at 314-241-9797. I've been responding when I can. Also, if you go to youtube.com, put in Mark Reardon Live, you can be a part of that text as well. And somebody mentioned that France now is going to be sending ships to help keep the Strait of Hormuz open. So I thought that was interesting because I had not yet heard that France had surrendered again. That was interesting. I don't know if you heard that at the very beginning of the Iran conflict, France surrendered. And I thought, well, yeah, there's only one word for war in the French language, but there's 37 words for surrender. So that's not true. Don't quote me on that. Most of the stuff I say on the air, you can quote me on. That is not one of them, unless you're trying to be funny, and then, feel free to quote me, even though my kids don't think I'm funny. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon today. Yes, and someone texted in, please ask De Niro what abuses he has suffered. That's exactly right. We talk about the limousine liberals in this country. They're not suffering any abuses. I mean, the biggest abuse that Robert De Niro has to endure is when he gets a soy latte and they accidentally put real cream in it. That's like the biggest abuse that he has to suffer. And yet he goes on primetime television. I don't even watch those awards anymore because people want to come on and make it their platform. They can. If they want to spew progressivism when they have a microphone to do so, that's fine. But I'm not required to listen, and I'm not required to watch. And shockingly, most Americans aren't interested in watching that either because the ratings have been plummeting. But here's what I wanted to talk about in this segment. Yesterday was Flag Day. I don't know if you fly a flag at your house. I have a flag at my house 24/7. I have a light on it. It flies every day, rain or shine. It flies night and day. There's a light on it, so it can be there on and being out there flying at night. I'm proud of this country. Does that mean everything that our country does is right? No. But when Obama was president, did I say I'm not proud of this country? No, to the contrary. I was very proud of this country, even when Obama was president, even when Biden was president. Just because I disagree with the leader doesn't mean that I disagree with the greatest experiment in democracy that this world has ever seen. And when I say that there is American exceptionalism, and I use that phrase, the left always wants to jump on me and say, when I used to have my show over on Camo X on Wednesday nights, the phones would light up when I would say and use the phrase American exceptionalism. And they would call up and give me 87 reasons why America is not exceptional. And they would give this reason and that reason. And at every point in time, I would say, in response, I would say, are you saying other countries don't have those exact same problems? They would say, well, yes, but. I'm proud of this country regardless of who the president is. Because in this country, which I believe was literally God breathed into existence, we have freedom. And that's why American exceptionalism exists. And when I say that it was God breathed into existence, part of that is why Flag Day in 1954 was so exceptional. What happened? On June 14 of 1954, then President Eisenhower, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, he signed legislation adding the words, quote, under God, unquote, to the Pledge of Allegiance. And to this day, if you asked Robert De Niro, if you said, do you like the fact that our Pledge of Allegiance says under God? First of all, he probably refuses to say the Pledge of Allegiance. He can memorize dialogue for movies that few people see any longer, but he probably doesn't recite the Pledge of Allegiance on a regular basis. And when you get to that part that says under God, guess what? He probably doesn't say that. I can almost guarantee you he doesn't say that. But I'm proud of it. But what does the left say? The left says, wait a minute. If you're using the word under God, why the First Amendment says that violates the Constitution because you're using the phrase under God. But does it? How? What is it about the, supposedly from the left, what is it about the First Amendment that says you cannot use the phrase under God? What is it? Constitutionally, though, there's something called the Establishment Clause. Under the Establishment Clause, it prevents the government from establishing a religion. I'm in favor of that. I don't want the government establishing a religion in this country because the first thing that kind of government would do would be to squelch true religion. I mean, look in Canada right now. If you preach from the Bible in Canada and a pastor says that homosexuality is a sin, not that it should be illegal, not that it should be banned, but simply pointing out that the Bible calls homosexuality an abomination. If you say that in Canada as a pastor, you're going to jail. I can give you proof of it. People have been prosecuted. People have been convicted for preaching what the word says about homosexuality. So let's look here then. The left is very, very familiar with the Establishment Clause. Not so much familiar with the Second Amendment, apparently. But the First Amendment Establishment Clause, they're all over it. But if the First Amendment prevents the establishment of a religion, what about simply saying the words under God? How does that establish a religion? Does it give the specifics about how people should worship? No. Does it mandate that people worship in any particular way? No. Are there any criminal violations or criminal implications if someone refuses to say the word under God? No, it's not. So how does it violate the Establishment Clause? It doesn't. It's been routinely upheld by the Supreme Court. The Establishment Clause of the Constitution is not violated by simply saying the words under God. But you know what it does? It recognizes this idea of American exceptionalism. And today in the world, name another country, any country, pick one, that has raised more people globally out of poverty. Just China? Yeah, right, China. Sure, no. Russia? No. Venezuela? No. Cuba. Go through all the communist countries that this world has experienced. Have they raised people out of poverty? No, they haven't. But the United States has. The United States helps the world when the world needs it. Right now, if it weren't for the United States, think about this for just a moment. It's been confirmed by Iran that they had stores of highly enriched uranium. If they would have taken that highly enriched uranium, put it into a dirty bomb, put it into the back of a pickup truck, drove it into the Saudi Arabian oil fields and detonated it. That technology is easy, folks. You don't have to split the atom. You just take uranium, you put it in a container, you surround that container with explosives, and then you detonate it. What does that do? That causes the radiation to spread, the uranium to be airborne and to go. It doesn't create a nuclear explosion, but it creates a radioactive explosion. And if all of a sudden the Saudi Arabian oil fields were radioactive for the next 300 years, what would that do to the price of oil? If you think price of gasoline at the pump now is onerous, what would happen if the Saudi Arabian oil fields were irradiated for the next 300 years? Folks, it would cost you $50 a gallon. So to say, am I proud of this country? Yes, I am. Has our country, has it made mistakes in the past? Absolutely. But for Robert De Niro to say he's not proud to be an American, I've got one word for you. Go. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon. Stick around. We've got the best part of the Mark Reardon Show, Sue's News, coming up next here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Don't forget, 44 is closed between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, both directions, and that will be through the week. It's all due to that crazy sinkhole that developed on North Broadway under 44, and it exposed the bridge footings, and so they're just trying to make sure it's safe. Now, westbound 70 is slow approaching an accident near Bermuda. Watch for that on the right side. Accident eastbound 6440, this one at 170, and that has created a jam behind it. Right now it's back to, not quite Lindbergh, more like Clayton Warson. And if you're westbound on 6440, that's a slow go. It's now Kings Highway through 170, and out west a little slow at Highway N. Southbound 270, slow pocket south of Page through Doherty Ferry. 55 is in pretty good shape despite multiple construction zones. And on the Illinois side, a jam eastbound 64 right at 255 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Pump up the volume. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation, so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
See website for details. BillsHappen.com is not a lender. It does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, everything is so expensive, and our bills are piling up.
You're telling me credit cards are maxed out, rent is due, and the car payment's right around the corner? We need some extra cash.
We should do what my friend from work did. She went to BillsHappen.com and got the money she needed the next day.
Our credit is not great. Are you sure that would work for us?
BillsHappen.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with all credit types get up to $5,000.
Sounds like it's going to be a hassle.
My friend said it was super easy. She did it right from her phone during her lunch break.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan for up to $5,000, and your cash can hit your bank account the next day. BillsHappen.com's lenders have millions of dollars to lend, regardless of your credit history.
Guess what? I went to BillsHappen.com, and we're getting our money tomorrow.
Wow, that's fast. Problem solved.
If you need extra cash, go to BillsHappen.com. That's BillsHappen.com. BillsHappen.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Are you looking for a podcast about pro football that doesn't put you to sleep with an avalanche of analytics or insult your fandom with brainless hot takes? Well, hi. I'm Dan Hansis.
And I'm Mark Sessler.
Oh, hi, Mark. And we're the hosts of Heed the Call, the NFL podcast you've been waiting your whole life for.
Heed the Call covers every game, every storyline, everything that matters, and we do it all with a touch of mirth.
Football is fun. Why shouldn't your football podcast be the same?
Follow and listen to Heed the Call NFL podcast wherever you get your podcast.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in, getting carpal tunnel, actually, from typing all the responses to the folks joining us right here on YouTube.com. You can go there. And if I get carpal tunnel, by the way, does that make it a work-related injury? Can I file a work comp claim against 97.1 FM Talk? You know, I
don't know how much you'd be back, but...
Right? I'm like, oh, geez, okay.
I could certainly try that, but of course, joining us in studio, the legendary, the one and only Hall of Famer, Fred Bottomer.
Hey, Brad.
Your mic's not on, I don't think.
Okay.
There it
How
is.
about theirs? All right.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Operator error.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing well.
You know, I told you during the break.
Yes.
You sure can talk. I don't need to book guests. You sure can talk.
No, you know what? Guests just get in the way of me monologuing. They do.
Now he's sounding like Mark.
So, no, I've got a lot to say, and that's why my wife actually likes it when I fill in over here, because I spare her from all of this. A lot of times I'll be ranting and raving at home, and she'll say, Brad, save it for the radio. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I'll save it. But, of course, Sue Thomas is in the house. Hey, Sue.
Hello.
Great to talk to you, as always. Glad you're here. And, of course, that means when you hear Sue's dulcet tones, that means it's time for Sue's News.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, I'm sure I was unaware of this. I'm not sure that you all are. It's National Smile Power Day. Smiling, Fred, is contagious. I'm always annoyed by these things, but yes, National Smile Power Day.
I'm not a big teeth smiler.
I noticed that about you, Brad. Are you a teeth smiler?
You know, I don't know. I've never thought about it. I don't know. A teeth smiler. I guess I'm not like Tom Selleck. You know, every time Tom Selleck smiles, he never opens his mouth because he likes to emphasize his mustache.
Well, plus he doesn't have to. He's Tom Selleck.
He's Tom Selleck. You know, it's funny, Sue. My wife has often told me that Tom Selleck is her one cheat. That if Tom Selleck calls up,
a smart person.
It's cheating time, and I'm like, yeah, but I may not be as good looking as Tom Selleck, but I'm a whole lot younger.
You know, my wife saw Tom Selleck in the stands.
Really?
Was it Tom Selleck or Tom? It was Tom Cruise.
Oh,
Tom Cruise.
Okay.
In the
There's
stands.
a bit of a height difference. Yeah.
That's still
like
a
foot.
That's still a pretty good.
They were seated
option
though.
there.
They were seated, so you couldn't tell.
But how do you know when
in
Tom
LA
Cruise
for the World Cup?
But how do you know when Tom Cruise is sitting? He's kind of the same height regardless,
Well, there
isn't
is
he?
that.
Good
I'm
point.
not saying, it's just how it is. It's also National Foam Party Day. If you want to get out the foam and enjoy yourself, all right, this is your day. Now, I've been to a foam 5K, and those are interesting, where they just kind of just spray foam everywhere.
You know, I did one of those in Washington, D.C. a couple years ago. You
And-
run through these foam machines.
Yeah.
Was it cool?
Really?
Did you like it?
It was
just kinda whatever?
I just followed my wife.
Well,
What,
yeah,
is it like shaving cream or what? I mean,
No, it's actual foam, and they do it in different colors. Here's what you find. Like, it's fun to run through it, but then the whole place just turns into a slippery mess.
Oh.
So you really
Interesting.
do have to kind of be careful. But it's fun. They did it over at the Raceway on the Illinois side. What is that called now?
Worldwide Technology.
Yeah, technology.
Raceway at Gateway.
Yeah,
you know,
and
actually,
it was
mine.
fun, but there's really no shade, and there's a lot of slippery, so you just have to watch yourself.
Mine probably wasn't a foam run; it was a bubble run.
A bubble run.
So you ran
that's-
through big
same
bubbles.
Well, that sounds
concept.
fun
Okay.
too.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Same concept. On this day in history, 274 years ago, it's 1752, and we've been talking about Ben Franklin, who invented the stove. What? This is when he flew a kite during the thunderstorm to prove that lightning and electricity are the same thing. It was this day in history in 1752. And this one blew my mind. And I think I do it every year, and it still blows my mind every year. Okay. On this day in history, 182 years ago, so it's 1844, that's when Charles Goodyear received a patent for his process to vulcanize or strengthen rubber. That's how long ago it was. And
Wow.
of course, he did that for tires. Would you ever have imagined it was that old?
No, and then he invented potholes in order to maximize the sales of his tires, right?
Well, I think that was a little later. It's the 1800s. They
Oh,
weren't
okay,
paving.
that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And then 62 years ago today, in 1964, the Cardinals traded 2 pitchers and an outfielder to the Cubs for Paul Toth, Jack Spring, and who, Fred?
Lou Brock.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The Lou Brock trade is 62 years old.
One of the most
Yes.
lopsided trades
Of all time.
in baseball history.
Yep.
Lewis Clark Brock. I love it. And then 50 years ago today, it was 1976, right? The Houston Astrodome had its first and only rained-out game, and it was because heavy rains flooded the streets and made it too hard for the players and umpires to get to the game. So even though the field was bone dry, nobody could get there because of all the rain. So it was a rain-out.
Quite
at
the
the
monsoon.
Astrodome.
You know, Sue, if I would have told my wife that, let's say, for example, I'm at the Astrodome, honey, I'm sorry, the game was canceled, it was rained out. That excuse would not fly.
Say what?
Brad, it was at the Astrodome. How could the game be rained out?
Oh, my gosh.
It was, honey, really, believe me.
Is that how your wife sounds?
No, not at all. Thanks for the
She
save.
sounds great.
Yeah.
You know, if I didn't clarify that, I would be in big trouble, Fred. So, yes, you are correct. She
Of
does not
course.
sound like that.
No. The USA, of course, beat Paraguay 4-0 Friday night to score 3 points in World Cup play. It's also the most goals they've ever scored in a World Cup match. Now, we have a little bit of sound from it. It's the first goal and the comments at the end.
Weston McKennie into the middle. It's an own goal. It's the United States on the board. Less than 7 minutes in.
The Americans are here in their home country.
Los Angeles Stadium, the United States 4, Paraguay 1. It is as close to a perfect beginning as any of us could have possibly imagined.
I love it. I love it. I liked on our group show text, Ethan giving Mark Reardon crap for not liking the uniforms.
There was some of the best uniforms in the entire World Cup. They got the stripes, the American flag stripes on them, and Mark's over here saying, we look like a bunch of Waldos. I'm like, you're a goon.
No, the uniforms are great this year.
They're awesome.
My favorite part was you calling him a goon. Okay. Yeah. Now, remember Freddie? Okay, Brad, we had this. There's a guy on X, the Freddie guy from Germany.
Freddie from Germany. I know all about him.
Well, J.J. Watt, and now he's a guy, I should say for everybody else, who's in from Germany to watch the World Cup, and he and his buddies were traveling through the South, and they eventually got to Texas to watch this. But he's gotten so big on X that somebody went out to the Welcome to Texas sign and put Welcome Freddie on it.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. And when he gets into Houston, J.J. Watt hears about it. So he puts this guy, Freddie, and his buddies up in a fancy hotel in Houston. It's so cute.
And, that's not a groan. That's great.
That's wonderful.
I know. Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
So they're having the best time. Okay, and finally in Sue's news, we do have today's random fact. The Energizer Bunny only exists in the U.S. and Canada. Everywhere else, it's the Duracell Bunny. Duracell came up with the Battery Bunny, and they trademarked it around the world, but they forgot to renew their North America trademarks in 1989. So Energizer grabbed it.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
I see a malpractice lawsuit coming.
That's it for Sue's news.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Electronic Arts has started its own advertising division, which will lead different brands to connect directly with fans through the games themselves. The new EA Advertising, as it'll be known, will provide everything from stadium signage to custom in-game content. It has already partnered with companies like Visa and Lowe's on in-game content in the past. Confidence by home builders in the U.S. slipped in June. The report from the National Association of Home Builders showed the decline was tied to rising mortgage rates, higher materials costs, and a sharp decline in sentiment across the South. The report also tied that lower sentiment to the fact that the country remains about 1.2 million homes short of what it needs. Markets were higher, led by reports of a peace deal with Iran. The Dow Industrials jumped 469 points, ending the day at a record 51,671. NASDAQ added 795 points. S&P 500 picked up 123. And that's Your Money Now.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Hey, we've already had situations here in St. Louis this spring when the power has gone out for a lot of people. Let's solve that all for you, because I want you to get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. It's really a smart thing to do. There is a retail location out in Chesterfield on the Airport Road, but just go to the website, generatorsupercenterofstlouis.com, or call 499-2020. Tell them you heard me talking about great high-quality Generac generators, and you want an estimate. They have payment plans available. See what you're looking at. They can kind of walk you through the options and the expertise that they offer. They do the certified maintenance and warranty work. The competition can't do that in all likelihood. So get on the horn today. Get that free estimate. Give yourself peace of mind. That's what it's all about. 314-499-2020. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. And do me a favor and tell them that we sent you over from 97.1 FM Talk, because really, I think this is going to help you. Don't be afraid. Make the call. 499-2020. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad. What causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 4:32. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Celebrating 250 years of freedom and 25 years of 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in today. Checking out all of the text messages, actually. 314-241-9797 if you want to text into the show, or join us at youtube.com. Put in Mark Reardon Show Live, and you too can be texting. I'm trying to text both on both platforms. Getting carpal tunnel, but that's okay. I will sacrifice all for 97.1 FM Talk. And speaking of sacrificing, it's a sacrifice for Dave Simons when he joins us. He's usually at One Private Wealth, but he's joining us today because I love talking to Dave. Dave, how's it going, my friend?
Well, Brad, and it is not a sacrifice. And let me start by saying that I've known Mark Reardon for some 30 years. We've been personal friends for a long time. And I only say this because I can, because he's a friend of mine. But I give him trouble that he only wants me on when things are crashing. And you, my friend, will call at any time. It doesn't matter what's going on. There might be something good. So I'm happy to be on 97.1 when we're hitting record highs. Thank you.
I got to tell you, I go to CNBC every day, multiple times during the day to check what's going on. And I always love the graphics that they have on CNBC. Whenever the market's up, they show exuberance. Quoting Alan Greenspan, they would show this exuberance when the market's up, and then when the market's down, everybody looks terrible. And so
that's right.
So yes, I love talking to you when the market's up because, of course, you're going to be looking good.
That's right. Pain and fear sell more than upside. So that's why things look really dark when markets are going down. But you're exactly right. All the sites do that. Clickbait.
That's true. So obviously the big story, the peace deal apparently is in place. It's not signed. Oil dropped. Last time I checked, it was down to about $80 a barrel, which is a significant low for the past several months. Talk to us about how the market is reacting to this. And one question I definitely had was some of this already baked into the market because Trump has been kind of leading up to this for quite some time?
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head there because I think a lot of investors were pleasantly surprised to see that the market did not crater at any point during this war. And I think the thought there was Wall Street didn't think this was going to be a 6-month or 1-month war, or that oil. I mean, I don't know if you saw some of these reports. People were predicting $150 barrel oil, and that gets to the fear mongering that we just talked about. Wall Street never really bought into that. They knew it was a matter of time that this thing would be locked down, and certainly it was. Today's big market jump did not surprise me. It was kind of a relief rally. But I would caution people to not say, okay, great, gas price is going to come back down to $2.50 or $3. It's going to head down, but these things take a long time to play out.
Right, because I think that's something that most folks don't understand. They look at the United States and they say we're one of the world's, if not the world's, #1 producer of energy. And so why does the oil coming through the Straits of Hormuz really impact us? But it's a global issue, isn't it, Dave?
It is, and we're so thankful that this happened in today's environment because we are now the world's biggest provider of oil. And that, of course, hadn't been the case for many, many decades. If this kind of shock had happened, if the Strait of Hormuz had been closed, let's say 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I mean, gas would have been at $7 or $8, and we would have gone into a very deep recession. But because we have things like fracking, because we have other forms of energy, because we are now, again, the world's #1 producer of oil, this really helped keep the shock to a level. I'm not saying it was great paying $4 and in some places $5 or more, but it would have been a lot worse if this had happened a decade or two ago.
We're talking to Dave Simons. He's, of course, with One Private Wealth. And, Dave, the other issue I want to kind of pivot to is, as always, I always want to talk to you about the Federal Reserve. And it's been dealing with inflation that has been consistently creeping up, in large measure due to the price of oil, and also uncertainty around global supply chains. So if this Iran deal holds and the Strait of Hormuz remains open, how does that change, or how does that factor in to the Fed's decision-making regarding monetary policy?
Brad, I think it has to be discussed. Absolutely. The consensus is this was, Kevin Warsh's first time at the FOMC at a meeting, which starts tomorrow. And then Wednesday, they announce what they've done, if anything, with interest rates. And the consensus is they won't do anything. They're not going to cut rates. They're not going to raise rates. They're just going to keep them where they are. Now, the real interesting part of this is, what do they say going forward? Mm-hmm. If the war was still going on, I think you would have more voting Fed governors starting to hint that maybe they would have to actually raise rates starting later this summer. Well, that may be off the table now, or at least they're not going to increase, because two of the Fed governors last time said that they would be more inclined to actually start raising rates. Could that number have been 3, 4, 5 this time if the war weren't over? I don't know. It's going to be these Fed meetings are usually very opaque, very esoteric. They can be boring. I'm actually looking forward to this one because we're going to get a feel of Warsh's mindset. There are a lot of watchers out there who think, this is going to be political more than usual. He's been given his marching orders by the president to cut rates. He's not cutting rates. He may want to lean that way at some point, but rates are not getting cut this week.
Yeah, I think that's something that the public at large also misunderstands. They look at the Fed and they think it's a politically driven organization or entity, but they're really looking at the hard data, aren't they, Dave?
They are. I understand the skepticism sometimes, the cynicism that maybe politics does play a bit into their decisions. Look, it feeds and bleeds into everything that we do in life. Sure. But I have found whether they're right or wrong or they make bad decisions, we can always, of course, from the sidelines criticize. But for the most part, these are very smart individuals who have the country's best interest in mind. And let me say this. Donald Trump has been the most vocal in his criticism of a Fed chairman. I think, in my own opinion, he went a little too far in some of that criticism. He should not have gone public with his desire to actually fire Jay Powell. With that said, however, there is a long history of presidents who couldn't stand the Fed chairman and really leaned on them behind the scenes to lower rates. Every president wants lower rates because that juices the economy, that juices the stock market, even with the threat of inflation. So I'm actually glad that Jay Powell and the other Fed governors held firm. We do not need to be cutting rates with inflation to where it is right now.
And not to make this an entire Fed conversation, but I've got one more Fed question for you, Dave, and it's this. People are impacted psychologically by the price of gasoline, right? We drive, everybody sees those prices up there. We gas up at the pump. We know exactly how much it costs us. And if the price is going down, we feel better. We feel better about the economy, even if nothing real has actually changed yet. So my question is this. Do you think that the Fed factors in the American psychology in terms of how we're feeling, or are they just looking at data in terms of what we're spending?
Yeah, that's a great question because each of these individuals that vote really have a different mindset. Some of them have a reputation of only looking at black and white hard data, and that's it. You've got to do more than that. You actually have to look at consumer sentiment because you have this wealth effect. You just kind of referenced it. People feel a little wealthier, a little richer, more money in their pocket when they see that gas prices are going down. They say, well, we weren't going to take that late summer vacation down to wherever, and maybe we can do that now. I just flew down to Houston, Texas at an exorbitant airline fee because my daughter lives down there with her husband. And, man, the prices were up, 20, 30% from just a couple of months ago. However, the planes were full. So it's very interesting that I think a lot of Americans Yeah, we don't like paying these higher prices, but I think they do see this, and I hate to use the word transitory, but I think there's this feeling among Americans that this too shall pass.
Last question, Dave. When obviously the market was impacted today, I think the market, at least from my layman's perspective, will be impacted a lot this week by what's going on in the Middle East, especially when that deal gets signed and assuming it does get signed on Friday. But when does this excitement about the Iran deal, how long does it take for that to pass and for the markets to start again looking at real numbers, real earnings, real performances, as opposed to just being excited about what the headlines are?
Yeah, immediate. I mean, literally starting tomorrow. If it looks like more and more each hour that this really is going to happen, Wall Street has a very short memory, and they will move on immediately. So what they're going to be looking at now are the earnings. That's the next big story. So as the second quarter ends in just a couple of weeks, we'll start to get hints of second quarter earnings. Earnings in the first quarter, as we now know, were blockbuster. They were near historic. The average company, 26 to 27% increase in net profits from a year ago, led by tech. But even a lot of your non-tech companies were reporting profits above 10%. Blockbuster. Can they keep it up? Are these companies still really profitable even when we had a second quarter of higher inflation? That will be what exactly Wall Street's going to turn their attention to very, very soon, literally starting in the next week.
Dave, of course, everyone knows you're with One Private Wealth. If folks want to contact you, get more information about One Private Health, maybe, or One Private Wealth, not health, health and wealth. I guess you can put those things together, right? It's financial health.
Right.
But if folks want to reach out to you, maybe get on your newsletter, how can they do that?
Really, the best way to do that is just to email my direct email, and my assistants will see that. And it's just Dave at onepwm.com. That's spelled out ONEPWM, which stands for privatewealthmanagement.com. And somebody will get back to you on how to sign up for the weekly newsletter and tell you how to get on the podcast on YouTube. So that's the best way.
Dave, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Brad, as always, and it's a pleasure to be on 97.1 with a record high. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll tell Mark that I am to thank for the record high today because I had you booked. It's all thanks to me.
I give you the credit, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
All right, see ya.
Hey, we're going to take a break here. We'll be back. We've got Frank Cusumano coming up next. You always want to hear what Frank has to say. Coming up next right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some volume out there, but it's not bad on westbound 70. Just a little slow at the airport. In both directions, some moderate volume near 141 and then at Wentzville. Southbound 170 is lined up. And this is from Olive down through 64. Now, westbound 6440 is slow, approaching Kings Highway out through the inner belt. And we've got westbound slowing again out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. But eastbound is slow at 270 and a little bit east of Lindbergh through Big Bend. And there is some volume eastbound on 64 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. We had kind of an accident involving a vehicle or two real near Jefferson. So there's some slow-moving traffic there. And we've got an accident reported on eastbound 44 just past the 55 split. And, of course, 44 is closed in both directions between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. We also, on the Illinois side, have some slow-moving traffic eastbound 64 at 255. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service. And they have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. You know, I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Tony La Russa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
The Gatlin Brothers and Crystal Gale are coming to the Family Arena for one magical night of country and Christmas, December 17th. It's the Gatlin Brothers Farewell Tour, and Crystal Gale is joining them to celebrate an evening of country's greatest hits and beautiful Christmas music. Don't miss the Gatlin Brothers and Crystal Gale. Tickets are available at the Carroll House Furniture box office at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster.
One of rock's legendary voices, the original voice of Foreigner, Lou Gramm, The Release Tour. Saturday, October 10th, the Family Arena with special guest John Waite. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office located at the Family Arena and Ticketmaster. Don't miss the original voice of Foreigner. Lou Gramm in concert. New album released coming March 27th.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The rebound. It's over. It's over. Nick Vans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
Welcome back to 97.1 FM Talk. Brad Young sitting in today for Mark Reardon. Of course, joined by a friend of the show, Frank Cusumano, KSDK Sports Director. Hey, Frank.
Good to be with you, Brad. Hope you're doing well.
I am doing well. I got to watch the Knicks final and watch that excitement. Everybody's heard about that. But beyond, I guess, New York finally ending their 53-year drought, Frank, how big is this for the NBA nationally?
Well, it's great that New York wins a world championship once every 53 years. There's no doubt about it. And, I
get it.
The unique angle of it, though, is that you had a 6'1" guard named Jalen Brunson being the best player in a world championship team. Brad, in recent memory, the only guy you can go back to would be the 90s Pistons with Isaiah Thomas. I mean, Steph Curry's 6'3". This is a little guy. I don't even think he's 6'1". And for him to have that kind of performance, 45 points in a closeout game, only Michael Jordan has had a closeout game on the road in an NBA final like that. And that's why, like, in the history of the Knicks, it's going to be Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, and Jalen Brunson. And in that order, or maybe if Brunson wins two, he could pass those two. But this was an historic, iconic performance which will never be forgotten.
Non-sports question, though, Frank. 9 months from now, do you see a large surge in people naming their kid Jalen?
It would not shock me at all. Yeah, he is a cool cat. And I tell you, I don't know if you saw it, Brad, but the way he was embracing his father afterwards as an assistant coach, and he couldn't get words out of his mouth initially. He was overcome by the moment. We need heroes like this. This is a good guy.
Frank, I think that this time of year is always fun in sports, but I think that it gets added on to it when you have the World Cup going on simultaneously. It's being played on home soil here in the U.S., and man, did Team USA put up a phenomenal performance on Friday night, where I think a lot of fans were, a little bit nervous of. There had been a lot of noise going into it. How good was the U.S. in a year where a lot of high expectations, and they certainly hit it home in group play game number 1.
Yeah, let's face it. The casual soccer fan, their common complaint is very easy to understand. They always say, well, there's nothing going on. Well, the United States in Game 1 of the World Cup scored more goals than they ever have in a World Cup, more goals than they scored combined in the last World Cup, and their 3-goal differential, ties a record. So that was wall-to-wall excitement. If you were there, you were one of the 70,000. The environment was electric. I had a couple of friends tell me they've never been to a sporting event like that, and they've been to Super Bowls and World Series. And then if you watched it at home, it was really just cool to see. So bottom line is hire an Italian coach, and you're going to be okay.
Oh yeah, it's an Italian coach that who probably likes to eat at some restaurant run by Cusumano family, right?
That's right. Hojentino. Yes, he's spectacular. Go ahead.
That's great. Well, hey, I want to turn to Mizzou a second because 3 of the 5 people in my household graduated from Mizzou, and I'm following Ahmad Hardy's status. It's still uncertain, and I guess here's my question: If Mizzou has been building their offense around Ahmad Hardy, and now his status is questionable, how does that impact Coach Drinkwitz moving forward?
Well, they would definitely have to tinker with the game plan. There's no doubt about it. Now, I will say this. Behind him is Jamal Roberts, who was positively fabulous last year. I mean, really, really a good player. But Ahmad Hardy is arguably the best running back in America. So, the vibe I get, from Mizzou people, but it could change that, if I had to guess, I'd say he doesn't play, but he's around those great doctors. He's been training and working, rehabbing as much as possible. But if he's not there, they're clearly going to be a more pass-oriented team. And I talked to one of the quarterback coaches in the last couple of weeks, and they say this Austin Simmons, the transfer from Ole Miss, can really sling it. So maybe we'll see a pass-oriented attack.
Frank, got to go back to the national spotlight. The Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup last night, also ending a drought, 20-year drought, not as nearly as long as the New York Knicks, but still a very exciting series, a very exciting playoffs as a whole in the NHL. What were your takeaways from last night's game?
Well, I got to tell you, my biggest takeaway, I don't know if you were watching at the end, but it happens every year, but I'm still moved every year, is that celebration. First of all, the sportsmanship by the Las Vegas Golden Knights, just like every other losing team, but the way they celebrate, like at Super Bowls, we don't see a guy with a Super Bowl trophy running around the field and handing it to the next deserving teammate. And, it's unbelievable to see. And, to see the backup goalie hug the starting goalie. And I'm telling you, that NHL, they get it right on these celebrations. And I'm happy that Carolina won 14 more games than Las Vegas. They were clearly the better team. They deserved to win. I mean, here's the crazy thing about the Golden Knights is if you count overtime losses, they lost more games than they won this season. So I think it's fitting that Carolina, who is one of the best regular season teams, wins the Stanley Cup.
Frank, as always, great to talk to you, my friend. We'll be catching you tonight on KSTK Channel 5.
All right, Brad, have a good one. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Frank.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some slow-moving traffic now on eastbound 270. There was an accident reported near Lilac, and that has caused a delay behind it back near 367. 44 remains closed in both directions between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, and it will be that way this week. Westbound 70, a little slow at Lindbergh at 141 and again at K. Nothing too terrible. Southbound 170 is pretty slow now from Olive through 64. And westbound traffic on 6440 is slowing, approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound slowing, approaching 270 in pockets through Big Bend. And then it's slow, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound, most of the volume is Highway N out through 70. And 270, southbound just south of Page down through Doherty Ferry, a slow go. And, of course, southbound 141 is jammed at 44. There was an accident on eastbound 44 past 55, a slow go there, and on the Illinois side, eastbound on 64, slowing at 255. This report brought to you by Missouri Brush Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
It's motorcycle season in St. Louis. Time to ride. When the road gets rough and you're injured in an accident, you need someone who's got your back. You need Kaufman Townsley. We're local, we know St. Louis, and we don't settle unless it's what's best for you. When it's not, we go to trial, and we bring decades of experience with us. Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777. That's 314-777-7777.
With summer here and the kids home full-time, your garage door will see a lot more use. Do it a favor with annual maintenance from Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The 26-point tune-up is one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Get them all done. Trusted in St. Louis for 100 years. Always look for the genuine, the original red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Since 1926, they're never going to steer you wrong. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
It's Mark Cox. Zero Res wants to help you clean your home. Big summer savings this week only. Get 3 rooms cleaned for $129. Get the 4th room for free. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special.
Hey, St. Louis, need to sell your home fast? The Gelman team with eXp Realty can make you an instant cash offer in just 24 hours. No showings, no repairs, no waiting, no drama. Visit thegelmanteam.com to see what your home could sell for fast. Or give the Gelman team a call at 314-336-1991.
Bringing a data center online takes more than equipment. It takes precision. Graybar helps customers predict, stage, schedule, deliver, and verify every step of the build with critical products that are available now. From networking and wireless to critical power and testing tools, our teams help you reduce downtime risk and keep projects on track. Speed, scale, ready now. Yep. Graybar does that.
97.1 FM Talk in action.
It's Mark Cox. Our friends at the USO Missouri are looking for volunteers. From Lambert Airport to Fort Leonard Wood, volunteers help provide comfort and support to those serving our country. Learn more at missouri.uso.org.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
In place. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump says the agreement with Iran is ready to go with a formal signing set for Friday in Switzerland. The core of the deal, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway for oil.
The strait is already partially opened. As you know, they're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found. But it's essentially ships are starting to go out. Now, on Friday, it'll be completely open.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says details must be revealed.
The American people need to know exactly what's in the deal. Trump must brief Congress and the public on the details of his understanding with Iran immediately and end this war once and for all.
The White House has said no money has changed hands and there hasn't been any loosening of sanctions to get Tehran to sign off on the agreement. A B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff this morning at Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California. No immediate information on any injuries. Video from the scene shows a plume of smoke rising from the Mojave Desert. California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom says the Justice Department is investigating him and his wife, claiming he's being targeted as he considers running for president in 2028.
Sources familiar tell Fox News that the investigation has actually been ongoing since 2025 and that the probe is based on whistleblower complaints related to Newsom and his wife's personal finances.
Fox's Kevin Cork. Jennifer Newsom issued a statement writing in part, there are clearly no boundaries to what Donald Trump will do to get his way or to challenge those who get in his way. The Justice Department has not yet commented. Wall Street solid gains for stocks and oil prices were lower as the U.S. and Iran a tentative deal. The Dow gained 468. It closed at a new record high. The S&P up 795. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
The northwest flow doing its nice thing. Mostly clear skies this evening, dropping through the 70s, 66 for the low. On Saturday, partly sunny, little warmer, 86. We're ahead of the next cool front. There will be some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms around Saturday. Saturday night, scattered showers and some storms will bring heavy downpours of rain, some flash flooding, and lightning. 66. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president. Because he hates that I consistently called him out over and over again for his lies and deceit. Donald Trump is simply the most corrupt president in American history. He's turned the levers of government into his own personal power ministry.
Him and his wife are under investigation by the Justice Department. And he clearly tied this to President Trump and really went out of his way to give himself some street cred among the Democrat Party, among the people who are going to be competing for him against him for the 2028 nomination. It was really a way to get out ahead and say kind of, look at me, look what's going on. Trump must hate me more. I'm a bigger threat to Trump than any of these people. That's why you need to vote for me. That is sort of how this came across. Now, what we do know...
Yes.
I'm sorry, go on.
Well, I wanted to stop you because I'm smiling, Jeff, because that was my exact reaction. When I heard this, I thought, this sounds fabricated to show, look how important I am. Donald Trump has to come after story. He was inventing a story in order to elevate his prominence among his potential Democrat rivals to run for president.
That's exactly right. This is all about, as I said earlier, street cred. I mean, there's a couple things we know that we've been able to confirm, and several other news outlets have been able to confirm. One, this investigation originated in Sacramento. It originated about over a year ago. So this did not have anything. This did not come from Washington. It did not come from the Justice Department. It didn't even come from Donald Trump himself. None of this. So this is strict. And the other thing I find really interesting is there's a couple U.S. attorneys in California. There's one in the Central District that Gavin Newsom has been fighting with. It's not even being initiated by that U.S. attorney. It's being initiated by another U.S. attorney who's largely been quiet about the governor. So that's what I find so interesting, that he's sort of painting this as, I am a victim of political retribution. That's because I am the biggest threat out there to Donald Trump, which is why you need to vote for me in 2028, is just absurd on its face, given the facts that we do know.
Who is he running against at this point? I mean, from your perspective, whom do you see as being the front runners in a Democrat primary? Of course, we never know who's going to emerge at a later time. I mean, Bill Clinton kind of came up out of the blue in the 90s at the last minute. But at this point in time, who do you see as the top Democrat front runners when it comes to running for president?
I think there's a couple. Clearly, Kamala Harris is going to give it another go. It's why she didn't insert herself into the California gubernatorial race, which would have been a slam dunk for her. She's clearly got designs on bigger things. J.B. Pritzker out in Chicago, or out in Illinois, governor of Illinois, he's out there. He's been making a lot of noise. The one candidate that I don't think is getting a lot of attention, who I think could be the surprise candidate to come forward, and he started a book tour. And usually when you start a book tour, that's sort of a sign you're going to run for something. Andy Beshear out in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. He's done a really good job of being a Democrat in a red state and having success in bringing people who are traditionally red state voters on board with his agenda. I could entirely see him coming out of nowhere and generating bipartisan support.
Good point. I know a lot of liberals have been talking to me recently about liking Andy Beshear because of that very quality of being a Democrat in a red state. At this point, personally, I see him more as a potential VP than I do as the president. But I want to change gears here because the president is at the G7 meeting in France. And what are you seeing in terms of the big news, if any, that's coming out of the G7 meeting?
Right now, the big news that I've seen is the effort by both President Trump and notably Emmanuel Macron, but some of the other European leaders, to sort of make nice and smooth things over after some intense spats, including when the president threatened to pull out of NATO, the president's criticism of European leaders for not joining him in the Iran war and helping patrol the Strait of Hormuz. There was a lot of compliments, and it's kind of interesting because the president's not somebody who really goes places and tries to smooth things over and play nice. That's really not him.
No.
But he's really made a concerted effort today with Macron, talking about how Macron and him have made a bunch of deals, and he's a really good negotiator, and they've made a lot of good deals together. And Macron, who has really taken some abuse from the president, I mean, the president's even raised questions about Macron's marriage and whether or not it's an abusive marriage or not. He has bent over backwards for the president. He scheduled a private dinner with just the two of them. He also moved this back a day, so the president was supposed to start yesterday. He moved it back to today so the president could attend the the UFC fight at the White House. So you really see a lot of back and forth and public criticism and insults. There's really an effort here for everybody to try to mend fences, and I find that really surprising, to be honest.
We're talking to Jeff Mordock. He is the White House correspondent for the Washington Times. Jeff, is there any truth to the rumor that Macron, on behalf of France, offered to surrender on behalf of Iran today?
No, that's just a rumor.
Oh, that's
with the French. You never know.
Okay, well, I didn't know. I heard that rumor, and I thought, it could happen. I wasn't really sure about that. Hey, one of the questions also that I have is when you talk to officials and lawmakers in D.C. right now, are they how focused are they on the November elections in terms of framing, positioning, taking statements or making statements to the public? Is everything geared towards November at this point?
It really depends on who you're talking to. If you talk to the lawmakers on the Hill and in the Senate, the answer is unabashedly yes. I mean, everything is so crafted towards midterms. If you go into the White House and you go into different agency and administration officials, they don't seem too worried about the midterms, which is kind of surprising because you think they would be.
Yes.
Their focus lately has been the Iran war. And they seem to be downplaying midterms in the focus of let's get the Iran war put away, and then when those benefits from having that war come to an end start to reverberate through the economy, we can then start talking about the midterms. And it's kind of created some headaches for the White House. You saw the president last week say he loves inflation. White House was not thrilled that he said that. But it goes back to their focus. It seems to have been on Iran. Now that we're getting a memorandum of understanding, a peace deal signed on Friday, we should start to see, maybe some of the rhetoric shift towards the midterms. It should have happened already. We're not even really seeing that many rallies from the president. We thought we'd see more I thought we'd see more rallies by now. He did the farm roundtable on Friday, but he talked about a lot of topics besides just what this administration is doing for farmers. He actually spent a large portion of that, because I actually went out to Wisconsin with him for this. He's been talking about the reflecting pool and what he's doing to beautify Washington, which is not an issue that's going to resonate with farmers.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you mentioned the Iran peace deal, and it's now part of the conversation, Jeff. How does the White House want voters to see its foreign policy when he is going to be trumpeting this idea of getting peace with Iran? How does the president want voters to see his foreign policy?
Well, they wanted to see it has two ways. They want to see it has peace through strength, but what they also want, in that he is keeping Americans safe by making the hard decisions that, Iran has been a threat for 47 years, and he's the first president that's done anything about it. That's their message. But there's also another message out there that hasn't been getting a lot of attention, which is that through this peace deal and through some of the agreements, that if Iran behaves and they do what they're supposed to and they comply and hand over the uranium and all that, the global economy will be open up to Iran. And that will help lower oil prices. That'll help lower fuel prices. That'll bring Iran into the global economy, which will benefit Americans, and it will benefit Americans financially and bring down the cost of prices. As you know, oil and gas, the price of everything flows through that. So that's kind of what they're starting. And they've just started. That hasn't gotten a lot of attention yet, but that seems to be the key. It's not only about Americans safe, but by having this deal, we're also benefiting the global economy, which will trickle down to Americans.
Yeah, and this is my last question, but it's tangentially related, Jeff, because for rightly so, over the past several months, we've had an administration that's been squarely focused on foreign policy. But now that this kind of has reaching the pinnacle here with the signing of the agreement, hopefully on Friday, doesn't that naturally lead, for the reasons you mentioned, doesn't that naturally lead to a pivot towards domestic issues, which polls tend to show voters are most concerned about domestic issues rather than foreign policy issues?
And the White House, what they've been arguing is that the foreign policy issues are tied to domestic issues.
Yes.
For example, if you look at Venezuela, we've now gotten the oil out of Venezuela. We now have control of the Venezuelan oil. That has helped reduce the prices of oil. That's why the president keeps saying that he's somewhat surprised during the Iran war. He knew the price of oil would go up. He's somewhat surprised it didn't go up by more than it did. A lot of that's because we're the Venezuelan oil. And he's trying to make the argument that these foreign policies will come back to impact Americans in a positive way. I don't know that Americans are buying that argument. I don't know that they're not. But I think it's hard for Americans to look at Venezuela and think that that has an impact on them at home, which is why I saw a poll today that his support among rural communities is slipping. Fertilizer, for example, the price of fertilizer shot up because of the Iran war. Iran is one of the chief producers of fertilizer. That has had a negative impact on rural voters. That is something that they need to go out and address directly.
Yeah, right here in the St. Louis area, Jeff, that has been an issue because of diesel prices. The farmers, both in the Missouri and Illinois region around St. Louis, have really been vocal about that being an issue. And so do you see this is something that the president might be addressing specifically in terms of how now dropping oil prices will help farmers across the country?
Yes, I do. I see him, and I would not be. He was asked about this last week, and he said he was thinking about it. I would not expect I would expect another package to come to farmers, something to sort of help them out a little bit until prices start to go down. I would not be surprised if we start to see that, especially with midterms looming.
Excellent. Jeff Mordock, hey, you're with the Washington Times. Tell us about how folks can follow you online.
Oh, absolutely. You can always follow me. Thank you for asking. You can always follow me at WashingtonTimes.com, and I'm on Twitter at Jeff Mordock, Mordock.
Jeff, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for joining us right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Great. Thank you for having me, Brad.
My pleasure. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon. We've got a couple of things coming up. In fact, next, I've been teasing this a couple of times throughout the day today. Now I've got some open slots. So I want to talk about the recent revelation from the LA mayoral race about shocking voter fraud and what it means in terms of how the left tries to frame voter registration issues. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon. Stick around here on St. Louis Conservative, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Okay, some issues to mention. There was a report of debris northbound 55 approaching 141 in the center lane. Crews on the way to get rid of whatever that was. Now, the accident on eastbound 270 past Lilac that had been blocking the left lane, it looks like that may have been cleared. Traffic is starting to thin out through there. Stall westbound 70 past K. That one was on the right side. It looks like they have that off on the shoulder now. Accident eastbound 44 past 55. They're blocking the right lane through there, and traffic is jammed behind it. There was a stall, and they were calling it an accident westbound 44 approaching 109, and a pretty good jam going behind that. If you are headed into Illinois, there's some volume eastbound on 64. And some volume as well, eastbound 64 headed for 157. That, of course, due to road work. And then it looks better. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Hey, we've got a great offer from Stuart at Stuart's American Mortgage for those of you who want to get off the sidelines and purchase a home. Maybe it's the rates that have been keeping you away. Well, Stuart's going to offer you for a limited time a 1% discount on your interest rate for the first year. So for the first year of a new 30-year mortgage, that rate is going to be 1% lower. Plus, the bagel loan, plus the bagel loan. So that's a really great deal. If you're interested in refining and you're someone that says, I can't refi, I have a low rate. Well, think about it, and Stewie can walk you through all this. I'm going to give you his personal cell phone here in a moment. With the bagel loan, you pay no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, no broker fees. You're going to get with him directly. He and his son Jordan handle all the loans. You're not going to be shuffled from one person to another. They can close you in as little as 10 days. That's a huge advantage between other companies and Stewie. So get on the horn, Google the bagel loan, call his cell, 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715. Tell him that I sent you along and take advantage of that limited time offer, a 1% discount on your interest rate for the first year.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Take your lawn from good to great with my friends at Lawn Enforcement. I'm talking expert lawn care services to keep your lawn in order. And here's what they'll do for you. Anybody can mow your grass. At Lawn they enhance your property. They'll do the mowing and the trimming. They'll fertilize and implement a weed control program and erosion control, which includes retaining walls if you need it. They can landscape, they can design and install your flowers, your shrubs, your trees, all of your hardscapes. No project is too big or too small for my friends at Lawn Enforcement. You can check them out online at yourlawnenforcement.com. So instead of envying your neighbor's lawn, your neighbors are going to be wishing they had the lawn and landscape that you have. Go ahead and enjoy your space. Be proud when you entertain your friends and your family. They've been in business for over 30 years. Be sure and tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to yourlawnenforcement.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to The Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sticking around here till 6 o'clock. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon on 97.1 FM Talk. I always have a blast when I get to sit in, so thanks for hanging out with us. I want you to think about something. Whenever you hear the phrase voter ID, what comes to mind in terms of what the left says about voter ID? Now, keep in mind, you have to show ID to buy anything. You have to show an ID if you want to get an adult beverage and you're under the age of like 50, you've got to show an ID, right? But what comes to mind from the left in terms of how they respond when you hear the phrase voter identification? Of course, you know the drill. The drill is that they howl about voter fraud. They howl about that this is a non-issue. And the left will say over and over again, listen, the voting, there's no voter fraud. Voting fraud doesn't exist. You're just trying to exclude people from voting. That's what you hear from the left when you talk about having a voter ID. Well, if you watched the LA mayoral race, and the socialist candidate was way behind Spencer Pratt. I mean, Karen Bass had a good number of votes. Then you had Spencer Pratt, and then you had the socialist candidate. And I'm not just labeling her. That's what she calls herself, is the socialist candidate. And what you saw on election night, I was watching this very closely. What you saw on election night is that Spencer Pratt was up by 43,000 votes at the end of the live voting. Then as the mail-in ballots started to be counted, you saw that the socialist candidate started catching up and then passing Spencer Pratt. Spencer Pratt came in third. In the way that the mayoral elections are held, only the top two candidates go on to the general election. So the explanation was Spencer Pratt lost because of mail-in ballots. And this story came out immediately after. I've been tracking this story for about a week now, but here's where this is going, is that the California Post has been airing videos. California Post is a right-leaning publication in California. Yes, they do have those. That's not necessarily an oxymoron. So the California Post has been doing interviews where they go into homeless camps and they say, hey, did you vote in the election? And there's all of these videos now from the California Post where they've interviewed homeless people saying that folks came in, they were offering between $2 and $5 to vote for Karen Bass, or to vote for the socialist candidate. They didn't know who they were voting for. They were simply casting ballots in order to get paid. And it's really interesting is that one homeless man quoted in the video actually said that when he was told, we're going to pay you for your vote, they had to agree. Of course, these were all mail-in ballots, right? They had to agree to vote for either Karen Bass or the socialist candidate in order to get their money. Now, these are videos, right? Videos. So it's not as if there's no allegations that the California Post paid these people to say that on the video. I mean, it's possible, but there's no evidence of that. But what there is evidence of, by the very nature of the videos themselves, is that the left routinely goes into homeless camps and pays people to cast their ballot. Now, these are folks who don't have IDs, right? And so, because they're homeless. And when you look at that, you understand how the left views a secure vote. Because if there is a secure vote, if you have to show an ID, if you have to do something to cast your ballot, then you won't be getting paid $5 to fill out a form to vote for the candidate that the left-wing progressive community organizers are coming through to pay you to vote. And as I've started watching the news on this, here's what I find so interesting, okay? This was, I this afternoon, or early this afternoon, I must have read like 10, 15 articles about this. The mainstream media now is scrambling because the mainstream media has staked out this position that voter ID is bad, okay? That voter ID is discriminatory, that voter ID is Jim Crow, which it's not in any way. And if I had another hour and a half, I would explain to you why it's not that way. But it's not, trust me. But now the mainstream media is stuck because they love this mantra of no evidence of voter fraud, right? Well, now they're facing evidence of voter fraud. So what do? It's almost, and I'm not conspiratorial. I think that people, particularly on the left, don't act necessarily because they got the same marching orders, but they act just like schools of fish or schools of starlings that are swarms of starling birds that they move at the same time. I don't think they're coordinating their efforts. They just react in a similar way to the same type of external stimulus. And now you see the mainstream media having to move in reaction to the stimulus of evidence of voter fraud. Now they have to all uniformly come out and say, oh, this evidence, there's really no evidence. There's nothing to see here. There's absolutely nothing to see here. And it reminds me of, there was a great show. It was on in the 80s. And it was called The Naked Gun. It was from the Naked Gun movies, but it was called Police Squad. And it was from the same people that did airplane movies and the Naked Gun movies. But it was called Police Squad. And there was a great scene where they would zero in on Leslie Nielsen. And he would have a bullhorn. And he would be saying into the bullhorn, there's nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing to see here. And then when the camera would pan back, there would be explosions. There would be cars crashing into each other. There would be hails of gunfire. And there's Leslie Nielsen with his bullhorn saying, there's nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing to see here. That is what I thought of when I saw all of these newspaper and media outlets reporting, there's nothing to see here, when we have actual video and testimony evidence of voter fraud, which is a federal crime. It's a state crime. And the federal prosecutor in California, he actually is investigating this voter fraud. And now what happens? Now the prosecutor, who was appointed by Donald J. Trump, he is being labeled as, well, he's just doing this for political reasons. So even when you have evidence of voter fraud. The left has to try to explain it away. Folks, it's just this simple. It's not this complicated. And that is, votes matter. And having someone get a free ID, they don't charge for this. Have a free ID that says you are a resident of this community. Here's your picture, and it allows you to vote. That's the easiest, quickest, cheapest way to remove any questions about the validity of an election. And when you have somebody who's up by 43,000 votes, when the polls close, and then he loses because of the mail-in ballots, and we have evidence that the homeless people were paid $2 to $5 a piece to vote for Democrats, folks, that is enough evidence that we need voter ID to ensure the integrity of our elections. What's more important than the integrity of our elections? But the left is completely against it. Hey, I've got to go to a break. Ethan's threatening to throw things at me if we don't go to a commercial break. So we'll be back right after this. More from Brad Young filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Crews are still on the scene of the accident eastbound 44 past 55. They're blocking the right lane and the right shoulder. Looks like the tow truck has arrived, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. But that really is causing a jam behind it. And if you are westbound on 44, first of all, it's slow at 270. But then it slows again approaching 109, where we had an earlier incident. That one started in the left lane. Now 6440 out of downtown. That's a lineup. Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound traffic is slow in pockets approaching 270 through Big Bend, and then it looks better as you head for the Poplar Street Bridge. But southbound 170 slowing south of Olive down through 64. Westbound 70 is in pretty good shape this afternoon. But don't forget 44 is closed in both directions in front of the Arch Grounds, pretty much between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. 1798. The ink was still drying on the Constitution. America was still in its infancy. And the subject of freedom was already at the center of debate. It was a period of tension. Abroad, Britain and France were constantly in conflict. America was caught in the middle, and the newly formed political parties were polarized by foreign alliances. President John Adams and his fellow Federalists in Congress believed that the new nation must be built on centrality and loyalty and aimed to curb political dissent through the Alien and Sedition Acts. Journalists were prosecuted and critics were silenced, though for the public, the legislation was seen as an assault on the First Amendment and remained unpopular. 3 years later, the legislation was not renewed, proving that freedom always prevails over fear.
America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Termites cause $5 billion in damage to homes and businesses in the U.S. every year. Call Point Pest Control now at 636-798-0023 and reclaim your space from unwanted pests. That's 636-798-0023. PointPestControl.com.
A lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines when it comes to real estate. Are you ready to get off the sidelines? The Gelman team with eXp Realty here in St. Louis, well, they can help you out with that. They are experts. They've been around for a long time. They can give you options, including an instant cash offer. One of the things that they have available for you, and you can do this on your phone, you can do it on your iPad, your computer right now or tonight when you get home. There's a tool on their website. They invested in some great software, and it says, how much is your home really worth? Find out for free. You enter your address, and first of all, the answer might surprise you. You can take it to the next level with Mark and Neil. No one knows this area better than the Gelman team, but maybe it's just a number that you have and you keep in the back of your mind, and then when you want to press go, they're there for you as well. Now, they'll also be honest with you. There are homeowners that are getting certainly above asking price prices for their homes, but you may have to stage it. You may have to do some things that needs to be move-in ready. That's why you need experts, and that's why you hire a professional. Look, your home is your biggest investment. The Gelman Team with eXp Realty, thegelmanteam.com. Check them out today. Certain restrictions apply.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-284-1238. 800-284-1238. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-284-1238.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
The time is 5:37. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Bold takes, real talk, no apologies. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Brad Young sitting in today. And listen, if you want to be a part of the show, I would love to hear from you. You can text in at 314-241-9797, or you can join us at youtube.com, Mark Reardon Show Live, and you can participate that way. This is actually the segment of the show I've been looking most forward to. And this is why. Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, doesn't matter. The left is going apoplectic right now that he is being called the world's first trillionaire. And of course, it's not like he's got $1 trillion sitting in his passbook savings account down at Commerce Bank. Okay, it's in paper, right? It's in stock, and so he's technically a trillionaire. But the left is going crazy. I mean, Bernie Sanders has come out and said, this is wrong. AOC has said a person should not be allowed to be a trillionaire in this country. And you've seen now the progressives coming out saying we need more billionaire taxes. And we see all of this wringing of the hands, the wailing and gnashing of teeth that someone is becoming a trillionaire. And my response is the exact opposite. I applaud it. I'm thrilled that America is not only a land of opportunity, but is the land of opportunity that not only produced the world's first billionaire in John D. Rockefeller, but has now produced the world's first trillionaire. Elon Musk, he was born and raised in South Africa. He didn't stay in South Africa to become a billionaire or a trillionaire. What did he do? He came to America. That's right. He came here because this is truly the land of opportunity. So that when I said that there is American exceptionalism, that doesn't mean that Americans are any better than anyone else. I don't think that's true. But America is the place where someone comes when they want to become a trillionaire. You sure as heck can't do that in France, and you can't not do it in Greece, or you can't do it in England. You know, it was funny during when all the actors were playing James Bond, they always had to live outside of England. They couldn't live in England. They would just go to England and shoot movies and then leave. Why? Because England spanked you if you made too much money. So they had to leave. But here's why this is important. The left gets this wrong for two main reasons when it comes to a trillionaire. First of all, they say, like AOC says, is that, and Elizabeth Warren will say that it is immoral. It is immoral for you to be a trillionaire, as if there's some morality behind. Think about what happens when a person becomes a billionaire or a trillionaire. They become that way. There's no lawyers that are billionaires or trillionaires. I bill hourly. I'm never going to be a billionaire. You become that level, you achieve that level of wealth by creating something. Think about right now. Think about all the people who are employed by SpaceX, all the people who are employed by NVIDIA that's making chips, that's making the computer chips for AI. All their employees are millionaires. All of the people now who are working for SpaceX are millionaires. How do they do that? They created products. They created infrastructure. They did risk-taking. They enticed investors to take a risk. They hired people. And they became, when I say they, I mean Elon Musk or any billionaires that own companies, such as Jeff Bezos. They became and achieved their wealth because they created something that people wanted that did not require a permission slip from the government. Now, how important is that? That's the one side. There's no morality attached to being wealthy. You don't become wealthy by being immoral. You become wealthy by creating products that people will pay money for. You become wealthy by taking a risk, and you hire people. You pay people money to help create the goods and services that in turn makes you wealthy. Not only is that not immoral, I would argue that that is very moral. You're helping to provide for families. You're helping to provide for people without having the permission of the government to do so. So the folks who want to say that wealth is immoral, that's wrong. Are there people who cheat? Oh, of course. Are there people that steal? Absolutely. Look at the mob. Okay, they don't become wealthy by creating a product. They become wealthy by committing crimes. And those people, you know what? They go to jail. That's right, they do go to jail. That's what happens when you break the law. But simply because you're wealthy doesn't mean you've broken the law. It means you've created a good or a service that other people will pay money to get. That's the quintessential American dream. It's not having a house or a picket fence. It's having the opportunity to create a goods or services that people want or need. You know, I grew up in a little small town, Southern Illinois. My graduating high school class had 134 people. My guidance counselor said to me, as he said to every person in my class who was male, he said, you should either go to the coal mines or join the Army. I said, no, I want to be an attorney. I came here. I worked hard. I developed clients. I created services that people would pay money for, and I make money off of it. There's nothing wrong with that. We shouldn't have to apologize for that. I tithe 10% of what I make through my church. I give back. That's the quintessential American dream. And even though neither you nor I will ever be a trillionaire, that raises the second issue here. The first is that wealth in of itself is not immoral. It's not moral either, but it's not immoral. It's what we call amoral, meaning it's what you do with the wealth that you create that determines the morality, not simply the possession of that wealth. But that then leads to the second issue that I have with progressivism and the left when it comes to wealth. And that is they say you don't get to be a trillionaire. But here's the real question. Who gets the power to stop them? Who, from the minds of the progressive left, who should be in charge of determining whether you become a trillionaire or not? And the answer to that's very simple. They want the government to be in charge of that. They want the government. It's not about fairness, folks. Keep this in mind. All of this chanting and raving and wailing and gnashing of teeth and hand-wringing about Elon Musk becoming the world's first trillionaire, folks, it's not about fairness, and it's not even about morality. It's about power. It's about raw, unadulterated power, where the left says we, meaning the government bureaucracy, the government electorate, we should have the power to say to you, Elon Musk, you cannot be a trillionaire. We, the government bureaucracy, the left, of course I'm being redundant, we should be able to tell Jeff Bezos, that you do not get to be a billionaire. You don't get to have $200 billion because we want the power to take it away from you. And so I wish that more in this country would call out the left for what it is. It's not about morality at all. It's not about fairness at all. It's not about harming the little guy at all. It's about power. Because the left sees economics as a pie, as a single pie. And if one person gets a larger slice of that pie, that necessarily means that someone else gets a smaller slice. Folks, that's just a lie. There's no truth to that at all. Economics is more like an ocean that rises, and as one person becomes a trillionaire, what does he do with that money? He invests it. He invests in other companies. He hires more employees. Those people get more money, more income. They buy more products, and that rising tide raises all boats. That is the model, not a pie. Hey, I've got to take a break here because we're coming up on the last segment of the show. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon. Stick around. We've got the audio cut of the day next on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Looks like westbound 44 is improving. They have cleared that incident before 109, so hopefully that will get better and better through there. Westbound 70 out of downtown is fine. 64 lines up approaching Hampton out through McCausland, and eastbound is slowing. This is pockets, but it's Lindbergh through Big Bend. Don't forget 44 is closed in both directions in front of the Arch grounds, essentially between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. It will be closed all week. And southbound 270, a slow pocket of moderate volume or two between Olive and Gravois. On the Illinois side, eastbound 64 is slowing at 255, and westbound 5564 is slowing at 3rd Street. We've got ongoing road work there. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. You know, I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
Man, I love the team at Banner Construction. I've gotten a chance to know them pretty well. Bill not Bill Kaufman. Bill's one of the owners, Bill Kaufman, but Bill Hyman, who is looking at some deck plans for my home because my deck is falling apart. But let's talk about James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding and Pella Replacement Windows. Those are two of the products that they really specialize in at Banner Construction. They have for many decades. Those two companies amongst the biggest on the planet when it comes to their products. Pella just celebrated 100 years in business last year. And if you're looking for jaw-dropping beauty, if you're looking to remove the home maintenance stress, if you just want to make your home look beautiful again and make it the best looking home in the neighborhood, well, that's what Banner is all about, and that's what they've been doing here in St. Louis since 1993. So if you have needs with the James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding, beautiful product, go to the website, bannerconstruction.com. You can find out more. Pella Replacement Windows, same thing. A lot of information on the website. Or you can always call 314-569-1050. The website, one more time, bannerconstruction.com. Tell them that I sent you along, and have a banner day. today.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis conservative.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. Hey, this is the last segment of the day. That's hard to believe. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 97.1 FM Talk. Brad Young sitting in today for Mark. Glad you hung out with us here with the cool kids, particularly Ethan. Ethan Hannaford, he's the cool kid. He's actually flying the plane. I'm just the guy that makes the in-flight announcements. So couldn't do it without Ethan. Thank you, buddy. Now, of course, listen, any fan of the Mark Reardon Show knows this segment is the audio cut of the day.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Obviously, the big news of the day today is the Iran peace deal that hopefully will be signed on Friday, I believe. Friday is going to be signed in Switzerland. But this is a big deal. And in fact, that's the exact words that J.D. Vance said when he talked about it today.
What the president really wanted to do is to get us to a place where we could change our relationship fundamentally with the Iranians and ensure that they never have a nuclear weapon. This is a big day for the American people, a big win for everybody who cares about basic peace and stability in the Middle East.
It is a big win. And as I talked this over with Jeff Mordock earlier in the 5 o'clock hour, I made the point to Jeff that this isn't just a foreign policy win, that this transitions perfectly from a foreign policy centric achievement to a domestic policy achievement, because everything runs on oil, everything. Despite what the left says, you can't run a country on solar panels and wind turbines. You can't do that, folks. Democracy runs on oil. Just like money is the mother's milk of politics, capitalism runs on oil. It won't always. We'll eventually work our way out of it. But for today, that's true. And so this will be a natural transition to show that once oil prices start coming down, that means housing costs will be coming down, groceries will be coming down, everything will start coming down because of this foreign policy win. But as Jack Keane pointed out on Fox News, there's still lots of questions.
Obviously, the Iranians have committed to opening up the Straits of Hormuz, and we have to watch that and make certain that there is no organization or management control or nuanced intimidation or coercion that is still going on, where they're telling ships when to go, where to go, etc. That is not something that we're going to tolerate, but it is something that Iran clearly believes they achieved in shutting down the Straits of Hormuz. After all, it was shutting the Straits of Hormuz down that helped them to stop the war. And certainly maintaining some kind of control is likely an aspiration. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. We'll certainly release the blockade, and hopefully we'll do that incrementally based on Iran's behavior here.
Retired General Jack Keane on Fox News. Yes, he's right. There are lots of questions that lie ahead. But you know what the difference is? In the past, particularly in the Obama administration, when they made the last deal with Iran that Trump was so right to get out of. They just gave them $1 billion, literally $1 billion in cash on a pallet that was dropped off on a runway. And what did the U.S. get for that $1 billion? They got empty promises. They got promises that were never kept. They got promises that were never intended to be kept. And what did we get as a result of it? We had to go literally to a virtual war with Iran to enforce what the Obama administration failed to do, which is secure actual agreements backed by leverage. Listen, I negotiate every single day of my life. And I negotiate from what's called leverage, meaning I have something that you want, or you don't want me to do something that you don't want me to do. That's called leverage. And prior administrations like Obama didn't understand leverage because Obama had never worked in any private sector position ever in his entire life, always the government. But now we have it backed up with leverage. Iran, if you don't keep your promises, the missiles start flying. It's that simple. And because of that, I think this deal will be done and it will be kept. Brad Young sitting in for Mark Reardon. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow right here, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got volume on eastbound 6440. There was an accident reported as you approach Lindbergh, so some slow-moving traffic there. Then once you get past the accident, things open up and slow again, approaching 170 through Big Bend. Westbound a little slow, approaching Hampton, out through McCausland. Don't forget 44 is closed between the Poplar Street Bridge and the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, and will be this week. We've got an accident reported on westbound 270, and this is coming off the Chain of Rocks Bridge, so right at Riverview, some slow-moving traffic there. 44 looks fine now as you head toward 109. And on the Illinois side, westbound 5564 slows at 3rd Street. This report brought to you by McKelvey Homes. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
McKelvey Homes is breaking ground on something new in O'Fallon, Strawberry Farms. When McKelvey builds something, they do it right. Visit McKelvey Homes to schedule a tour at Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today and move up to McKelvey.
License number GL2500615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
I'm John Morgan of